Welcome back to The Story Behind the Story, the podcast where the past isn't just remembered, it's felt. I'm your host, Brian Smith, and today we dive into a story that's been woven into my DNA since the beginning. A story of color, scarlet and gray of course, passion, history, triumph, heartbreak, and more than a few tall tales that are somehow all true. Today, I talk about the rivalry. No, not a rivalry. Not just the Big Ten's oldest feud, but the greatest rivalry in all of sports. The Ohio State Buckeyes versus the team up north. Do I sound biased? I should, because I am. I am a diehard Buckeye loyalist, born into the tradition, raised in the culture, and blessed, or cursed, with a memory of scarlet and gray so vivid it traces all the way back to one of my earliest moments on earth. A childhood memory that lit the flame. One of my very first sparks of life is from 1960. I was 3 years old, perched on my dad's lap like a loyal apprentice. And there we sat, leaning toward the black and white television as the Ohio State Buckeyes basketball team, Jerry Lucas, John Havlicek, Larry Siegfried, the great coach Fred Taylor, and Bobby Knight, brought home Ohio State's first and still only national basketball championship. I could still hear my dad yelling at the TV and me wondering, what is he doing? I could still feel the energy in the room. And even though I was only 3, I knew something big was happening. I didn't understand the rules yet, but I understood emotion. From that day on, I wasn't just a spectator. I became a Buckeye. But today's episode, it's about football, the rivalry, the war. I've met some greats in my time. Archie Griffin, Jerry Lucas, Paul Warfield, even Fred Taylor. I've walked every square inch of the Ohio State University campus. My wife Patty and I tailgate, eat our chocolate and peanut butter Buckeyes religiously, and I put out my flag every football Saturday. And yes, let's get this out of the way. I even have an Ohio State man cave. Scarlet walls, gray trim, memorabilia everywhere. A temple of Buckeye lore. Now I work at Ohio State as an educator. And one of my favorite things is taking my students to Ohio Stadium, the shoe, when it's empty and quiet. I've done it a few times, and let me tell you, even without 100,000 voices, that stadium hums with history. But nothing, absolutely nothing, compares to game day. The band, the noise, the energy, the rivalry, and the feeling that the world stops spinning until the final whistle. The Ohio State-Michigan rivalry officially kicked off in 1897. The Wolverines dominated early, winning most of the games in the first half of the 20th century. But the rivalry didn't become the rivalry until the modern era, until two iconic figures took the sidelines. Woody Hayes versus Bo Schembechler. The 10-Year War. A clash of friends turned foe. Mentor versus mentee. Philosophy versus philosophy. Woody, the fiery Buckeye general, once said, "I love Michigan. I really do. It's such a beautiful state. I just can't stand the people who live there." That's Woody. Brutal, honest, and unforgettable. You want stories from this rivalry? I've got them today. Let's start with one of the most famous Woody tales of all time. And yes, it's true. Woody Hayes refused to buy gas in the state of Michigan. Absolutely refused. He said he'd push his car to the state line before giving 1 penny to Michigan's economy. And one time, running on fumes, Woody crossed the state line back into Ohio, pulled into a gas station, and when the attendant asked him, "Coach, you cut it pretty close, didn't you?" Woody wiped his forehead and said, "I wasn't about to buy 1 drop of gas in Michigan. I would have walked first." That's not just rivalry, that's religion. And in 1968, the legendary year the Buckeyes led Michigan 48-14, Woody went for a 2-point conversion late in the game. Ohio State was already dominating. Michigan fans were furious. After the game, reporters demanded to know why he went for a 2-point conversion with a huge lead. Woody leaned into the microphone, narrowed his eyes, and said, "Because I couldn't go for 3. That line is carved into Buckeye mythology. I think they whisper it to newborn ears at the Wexner Medical Center. There's been some big games, and that's where history takes shape. 1969, the upset of upsets. Bo's first season at Michigan. Ohio State was number 1, coming off a national championship and considered unbeatable. Michigan stunned the world. Ruined Ohio State's perfect season, ruined their title hopes, and launched the 10-year war. 1970, 1972, 1973, these were defensive battles of the Titans. I remember them very well. Hard-hitting, brutal, classic Big Ten football. 1973, the famous 10-10 tie led to one of the most controversial decisions in sports history. The Big Ten athletic directors voting Michigan out of the Rose Bowl and sending Ohio State instead. Michigan fans still lose sleep over this one. Ohio State fans, well, we don't. Then, 2006, number 1 versus number 2, the game of the century. This one, November 18, 2006, Ohio State number 1, the team up north, number 2. The greatest regular season matchup in college football history. And then the twist of fate. Bo Schembechler passed away the day before the game. I remember talking to a co-worker, both of us huge Ohio State fans, thinking, this might be a bad sign. The legend passes away the day before the game. That stadium was electric, emotional, historic. And behind Troy Smith, Antonio Pittman, Ted Ginn Jr., and a Buckeye squad for the ages, Ohio State won 42-39 in a game that felt like a heavyweight fight. Then we go to 2016. J.T. Barrett runs. He's stopped. He's short. No, wait, is he? Officials measure, review, and debate. And then came the 2 words that ring like bells across Columbus. First down. Michigan fans cried foul, but Ohio State fans celebrated like they had just discovered oil in the Olentangy River. Ohio State has given us legends, the coaches, the icons, the immortals. Woody Hayes, Earl Bruce, Jim Tressel, Urban Meyer, now Ryan Day. You notice I didn't mention John Cooper. Michigan has their icons too. Fielding Yost, Bo Schembechler, Lloyd Carr, Jim Harbaugh, and the players. Oh my goodness, the players. From Ohio State, Archie Griffin, Eddie George, Chris Spielman, Troy Smith, Orlando Pace, Joey Bosa, Ezekiel Elliott, Terry Glenn, Justin Fields, C.J. Stroud, Marvin Harrison, and now Jeremiah Smith. The team up north, Tom Brady, Charles Woodson, Desmond Howard, Anthony Carter, Braylon Edwards, Aiden Hutchinson, and all of them, every single one, knows that their legacy is stamped, judged, and defined in part by what they did in the game. The stadiums where legends roar, well, we have the Shoe, Ohio Stadium, one of the grandest, loudest, most intimidating arenas in sport, and Michigan Stadium, the Big House, the only other place on earth where 110,000 people can hold their breath at the same time. These stadiums aren't just structures, they're temples, emotional battlegrounds, time machines where decades of cheers echo long after you've left. And now we talk about a Buckeye life. Being a Buckeye isn't something I take lightly. It's not superstition. It's not obsession. It's tradition. It's culture. It's family. I've shaken hands with Archie Griffin, the only two-time Heisman Trophy winner in history. I've met Coach Fred Taylor, Jerry Lucas, and Paul Warfield, Ohio icons. Every game day, I don the scarlet and gray, raise my flag, and steal some of Patty's chocolate and peanut butter Buckeyes, the real breakfast of champions. My mood doesn't live or die by Ohio State victories, but let's just say I feel a lot more joy and laughter after the Buckeye win. This rivalry, this ancient, fiery, passionate war has shaped not just Big Ten football, but my life. There is respect between these two programs, real respect. You can't have a rivalry without it. But at the end of the day, there is only one, the Ohio State University. And so, as I close today's episode, I'll close it the way Buckeye Nation knows best. OH. You know what to do. And that's the story behind the story of the Ohio State University versus the team up north. I hope you found it as fascinating as I did. The echoes of the past are waiting to be heard. My name is Brian Smith, and we are history. Go Bucks.